The first thing that you can do in preparing your home for a hurricane is actually choosing the right home. So a lot of people don't put a lot of thought into this, but they should put considerable. And some people actually overthink it. They assume they know some things that are going to help them in a hurricane that actually doesn't get the job done. You know, as I said in the last video, there's two dangers to a hurricane. One is the wind, and the second is the storm surge. So a lot of the location has to do with the storm surge that could happen. When you buy a home or when you rent, check out the flood zone of that home. Flood zone X, which is a non-flood zone, is what you want. You don't even have to play flood zone. You don't even have to play flood insurance if you're in a flood zone X. However, I recommend that you get flood insurance anyway. It's lower cost when you're in that. And the others, A, E, they might have, the flood insurance is required, and it's actually usually more expensive when it's in those flood zones. So the storm surge may or may not happen in a flood zone X. And in fact, if it's inland, chances are good that the storm surge won't reach the area at all unless it's on a bay or bayou that is connected with the Gulf in some way, and then the storm surge might get up in that area. What protects you most from the storm surge is actual elevation. There's an assumption that if you're on the bay or if you're on a bayou or something, that storm surge is just automatically going to get you. And that's just not true. I currently live in a house that's on the bay, and we've never had a drop of water despite several or many hurricanes that have hit it. And it's because that we have an elevation of about 25 feet. It seems that if you have anything 20 feet or above, then you're just not going to have problems historically on the coast when a hurricane comes. Now, once you get down into 10 feet, which there's a lot of houses that are 10 feet or less, they have problems a lot of times when they're on the coast because the storm surge just comes right in. Now, what is a storm surge? That's when the hurricane physically pushes water up against the coast, and so it comes in just a wall of water, as locals describe it. It's not like a tsunami or anything, but it just kind of a water that is just pushed right into the area, and it pushes across barrier islands a lot of times and into the bays and into the bayous. You know, another thing that might be of help when picking out the home that you purchase or rent is the direction of the home. So if you are facing one direction, it might make a big difference on what kind of wind you get. Keep in mind that hurricanes turn in a counterclockwise fashion. So if the hurricane hits to the west or east or north or south of you, it makes a difference on where that rotation wind is going to hit you. Now, if you are facing, suppose, to the north on a bay, then that wind will only hit you if the storm hits to the east of you. So keep that in mind. There might be some ways that you might be able to position your lot or house and where the amount of wind is mitigated when the storm hits. Also consider lot features such as trees. Trees can help with erosion, as we can talk about later on if you live near the water. But also, more, maybe just as important, is it can block wind if done well. There's some consideration of you don't want the trees, of course, hitting your house, but well-placed trees can make a big difference on your hurricane protection. So I'm Rob of Rob Brooks Realty, and thank you for watching this segment of preparing your home for the hurricane.